Let's see. So good morning, everybody. This is the Delta County Commissioners' regular meeting for February 4th, 2025. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any additions or edits to our agenda for today?
I've got none.
Mike?
Looks good to me.
The agenda will stand as presented. Constituent time. Anybody in the room like to visit with the commissioners this morning? Besides Gary. Anybody online, Lindsay?
No, sir.
Thank you. We'll close constituent time and turn it over to County Clerk Terry Stevenson.
Morning, Commissioners. This morning I have the minutes for the January 21st, 2025 BOCC regular meeting. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes?
Well done.
I didn't see anything.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda under Commissioner Business is consideration of Lance Enholm. I'll turn this over to Mr. Gardner.
Yep, we have an appointment of a new planning commission member. According to the land use code, 3 members of the planning commission are to be selected from each of the county commissioner districts. So on January 31st, the 3-year term of one of our planning commission members from District 2 expired, leaving a vacancy. But on November 25th, we received an application from Lance Enholm, a resident of District 2, and who applied also for this planning commission opening. So Mr. Enholm has a long career in law enforcement and banking prior to that. He's been interviewed by Commissioner Fuller, found to be qualified, I believe. I don't know if Commissioner Fuller would like to comment on your interview with him.
I spent about a half an hour with him a week ago, Friday afternoon, I believe it was. We met in Cedar Edge, and I was impressed with his background, and his chit chat was geared toward his desire to serve on a committee and to volunteer. He's been here about 3 years. Can make a good fit for the planning commission. He really has a desire to serve, so we can make a good addition.
So this would fill the vacancy in District 2, and we'd have 3 planning commission members from that district if we appoint Mr. Enholm. So we'd recommend that.
I will make the motion that we accept Mr. Lance Enholm's desire to serve on the planning commission.
I second that.
Any further discussion? What's the term on this one?
3.
3 years is expiring 28, 29.
Maybe do that, yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So done. Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Next, we have board's consideration and possible award for 2024 RFP 2022 accessory dwelling units. Is that you, Mr. Sheets? Oh, that's
Me.
okay.
Just a kind of a reminder, back in September, I requested approval to apply for a local planning capacity grant through DOLA. And it's an 80-20 split type grant, right? 80% from DOLA, 20% from the county. And we applied for that grant, were awarded it in November, 92,000 from DOLA, 23,000 from the county, total of 115,000 grant award. In December, we did the RFPs for 2 projects. First was the study of accessory dwelling units as affordable housing option in unincorporated Delta County. The second was to conduct an assessment and make a selection of home management software for multiple departments to deal with permitting in the county. So those were the two projects that we're developing from this grant award. We received many bids and we opened them on January 15th. So for the first project, the ADUs or accessory dwelling units as affordable housing, we received a total of 4 bids. One did not qualify, they didn't provide the appropriate paperwork. 2 were over budget for what we had budgeted for the project. And only 1 was qualified and within budget, and that was our selection, and it's a good selection. The bidder meets specifications. They have professional planning experience that's relevant to the project, and they can meet our deliverables on time. That one is Spruance Consulting LLC, and their bid was for $20,000. And so recommending Spruance is the bidder for that project. Do you have any questions about that?
So they're gonna go around in the county and talk to and survey all the major water companies and districts
Yeah,
and just see how much water they can pump throughout their system?
there's several aspects to the project. One is to survey the existing water companies we have throughout the county. Take an inventory of what their supply is and what their policies are regarding ADUs, and they're required to, purchase an additional tap for an ADU or not. And with that inventory, that'll give people, information about their water company and their jurisdiction. Secondly, we'll look at septic system augmentation strategies. If somebody adds an ADU onto their house, they're gonna have to expand their septic system in some way. Is there a way to do that without having to put an additional septic system in? Is a question that we'd like to get answered. We'll also be looking at affordable housing incentives for ADUs and taking stock of all of those, and then we'll compile all of this together into a step-by-step guide for people in the county if they want to do an ADU on their property as an affordable housing option. And to be affordable housing, it has to meet certain qualifications, so we'll also specify what those qualifications are in the step-by-step guide.
Well, this will help the planning department and the planning commission as far as to make a decision on whether an ADU can be built in that water district area.
Well, ADU is actually an allowed use in all districts or in all zones. So it really won't have much bearing there, and we'll have to have some sort of incentives to get people to even declare that they're doing an ADU because they're an allowed use. They can just go ahead and build them without even coming down to the planning department. However, they should have to come down for an address. And so that's one point of contact where we can capture them and provide information that might incentivize them to make it an affordable housing unit. I imagine this would be only relevant for people that are looking to put up like family members, maybe children or elderly parents or farm workers or caregivers that they want, to live on their property and such. But we do have a Proposition 123 commitment to providing up to 43 affordable housing units by 2027, I believe. So in 3 years from the time the commitment was made. So this is an effort to kind of fulfill that obligation.
There's a huge disparity between the high and low bids on these.
Yes.
Are you confident that this guy's gonna give you exactly what you need?
Yeah, he had a very detailed proposal, and has like, I think 12+ years of as a planning director in Weld County. So I think he can pick up on what we're wanting to get done very quickly, and he has a specified bid that detailed out his approach, and yeah. Yeah, and he was the only one that really was within the budget. And we're not looking for an over the top project. This is just to get us some basic information. will benefit hopefully all from the water company, information that we'll be able to see if we can get, which would be useful for other purposes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Gardner on this?
No,
What would be the will of the board? His recommendation is bidder for Spruance.
mhm. Well, I move that we approve the 2024 RFP 22, bidder number 4, Spruance Consulting, in the amount of $20,000.
I will second that motion.
Any further on this one?
You may just amend that to just award the bid. Yeah, that's just to be clear for that the bid is awarded. That's the terminology that the system uses.
I amend my motion to award the bid to bidder number 4.
I will second the amended motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so done. Sean, we look forward to the results on this one.
Okay. Share it with you when we get there. Thank you.
And you're still a Nazi,
Yes.
2024 RFP 23.
Right. So the other project was to assess and select the permit management software for environmental health, planning, engineering, and GIS departments. We all have permit applications, and we'd like to consolidate them and present them in one online, piece of software that the public can access and, apply for various permits. We had 10 bids total to this RFP 23. One did not qualify. They didn't submit the proper paperwork. 6 were over budget, and 3 qualified and were within budget. Those 3 were CM Tech Solutions for $50,000. But they provided no detailed plan for how they were going to execute the work. Another was Cornflower Labs for $47,950. And they provided a very detailed plan and deliverables. It was a very strong competitor. And then the last one was Propeller Inc. At $14,400. They had a very specific plan and qualifications for the work. We're recommending that go with Propeller for $14,400. They have a very experienced team. I've actually met with Propeller several times in the past, applying for another grant for the same purpose with the State Internet Portal Authority. And that entity actually brought Propeller to our attention as a potential project management firm to help us to configure and develop a permit management system. They were lowest cost, that's always good. And they can deliver the outcome without overburdening our team. Deliberated quite a while about Cornflower Labs proposal because they were very, very qualified as well. I had a very elaborate plan, but in some ways it was a bit of an overkill because it implied a lot of obligation on our team's part that I felt like would be hard for us to fulfill our end of contracting with them. So Propeller also, well, both of them were able to help us to apply for another grant that's due by February 21st with the State Internet Portal Authority. They could cover the whole cost of potentially configuring and buying the software package. So for these reasons, I would recommend Propeller.
Questions for Sean? I know I have a few.
Go ahead.
Fire away.
Sean, 2 questions. One, there's a huge disparity, up to $200,000 in these bids. Is that a concern for you? What are you seeing here that I'm not seeing?
This is precisely why we're getting a grant for this purpose, is that when we're dealing with tech companies like and software, I don't know what we're comparing, apples, oranges, they're, across the spectrum, there's a wide gap between bid totals. And, so what this is for is helping us to assess our department needs, assess the customer's needs, and come up with like the software requirements and really refine our RFP. As you know, we've already done this before in the past, and so we have walked a ways down this road. We already have an RFP from the past. We don't need to like overdo this, you know? I just want to clean it up and make sure that we're going to bid, you know, out to the marketplace with an RFP that has really taken into consideration, you know, what are our real needs, and that we're also getting ourselves prepared, multiple departments, to go into this process of selecting a new piece of software and working on the configuration and development of it. I suspect that Propeller probably is hoping that low bidding will get them a little access into a part to play in the future selection of the software, but we're not obliged to do that, but I suspect that that's why they maybe came in a bit low. But they have the qualifications, this is their bread and butter, they know how to do this game. And, again, I think, you know, Cornflower had a much more elaborate plan. But again, after looking at it, I thought it's gonna require a lot of time from our team, and that it's not necessary. And I don't want to overcommit ourselves. Why there's such a disparity between the bid prices, I mean, I don't know that I can speak to that fully.
That's how we make tech millionaires.
I've had two meetings online with Propeller, you know, prior to this RFP, trying to get the previous grant. And so they kind of know what we're looking for from those discussions. And I think that they have a good grasp on, you know, what they're bidding for. So I trust that their bid is going to be adequate for covering the service.
Sean, that Propeller is a familiar term with us through engineering and the drone software.
Right.
It's the same.
No, I don't believe so. Unless I'm mistaken, I don't believe they are.
Okay, Tim's shaking his head no too.
No.
Other questions, commissioners?
That's,
Go ahead.
I can't think of anything. So, are we good to go?
Yep. If you're ready, we're ready.
I will make a motion that we accept 2024 RFP 23 and award the final bid to Propeller Incorporated
In the amount of,
in the amount of $14,400.
I second that.
anything further? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good luck, Sean.
All right.
We're
Thank you.
interested in seeing the results of this too.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
guys
Sean.
for all your hard work in pushing this forward. Number 4 on our agenda this morning, good morning, Gary,
Morning all.
is our RFP 2025-01 landfill trash compactor.
Yes, sir. We put the bid out, got 3 vendors to participate in it, but we got 4 bids. Our first individual was the Four Rivers, which is used to be John Deere here in the area. And the total cost of the new compactor they quoted us was $726,192.39. Now, they offered a $20,000 trade-in on the machine that we are trading off, which is the old Bomag. And their grand total came in at $706,192.39. They left it blank on the delivery date, which I contacted them. They said possibly they could get it within 2 to 3 weeks, but that was questionable. Our second vendor, which is Power Equipment, they quoted for the 473 size, which is the size we're trading, for $607,297. They gave us a trade-in value of $30,000 for a total of $577,297.0. Delivery date approximately April 16th of 25. They also made the third bid with a 673 machine, which is
larger than the 473. It came in at $659,418, also a $30,000 trade-in. So the grand total of that was $629,418. And the delivery date was August 16th of 25. And our fourth bidder, which is Wagner Equipment, came in at $568,802. They're offering $65,000 trade-in for a total of $503,802. It can be delivered approximately 25 weeks, somewhere in July. By looking at everything, my recommendation would be the Wagner Equipment on the 816 landfill compactor for the price, the availability of parts, their warranty, and their service they offer.
Thank you, Gary. Questions for Gary?
Is the size we need and outfitted correctly for the landfill, the compactor wheels and all that?
Yes, sir. We got the choice of wheels and it does come with the landfill package on it, which is the extra cages and undercarriages and everything. It has a total package.
What's its weight compared to the Bomag?
They're close. They're real close. I don't have the total specs of it, but the weight of the smaller machines are all the same.
On the other ones from power equipment, you got a $30,000 trade-in, and below that in parentheses, if tier 4 emissions certified. Is that something that would have to be?
That would have to also be certified again if they
took it.
if we accept their bid, and if not, then we would get zero.
Yeah, okay, that's kind of what I was saying. Well, I've talked to a couple people and they seem to think that the cap machine from Wagner is the way to go, and these numbers kind of verify that, and you're happy with the service and
Is where I
good
am.
machine.
When would the Bomag go away? If we,
As soon as Caterpillar can set it up, as soon as they get the bid that they want it, they'll send a truck for it. And I don't know how soon that would be, but I'm sure it would be soon. I will contact them if they accept the bid and tell them to move it.
how soon, well, what are you gonna do in the interim?
We still have the old Caterpillars are backup.
But I thought those wheels weren't appropriate for the landfill use.
Just for the backup use at this time, they'll work.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
What would be the will of the board on this?
Well, I'll move that we approve and award 2025 RFP -01 to bidder number 4 Wagner Equipment Company for the amount of $568,802. Trade-in value of the old machine is $65,000 for a total of $503,802.
I will second that motion.
Any other discussion here? All in favor?
Aye,
Aye,
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you.
take care of it.
Let us know when it gets here.
Yes, sir, I will.
Commissioner Fuller wants to come out and drive it for
Absolutely.
a couple of weeks.
A month. It'll be better.
Thank you, Gary. Next on our agenda is board's consideration of a resolution to change the speed limit on 3100 road. I see Tim's here and also Sheriff Taylor and Under Sheriff Archibald. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. For your consideration, is a resolution for speed limit changes on portions of 3100 road as discussed at the last BOCC meeting, I believe. So the two portions that we're looking at are on 3100 road from Highway 92 for approximately 3.4 miles, which is at approximately address 12971 3100 road. Shall be changed to 40 miles per hour in both directions, as shown on Exhibit A. And then from address 12240, 3100 Road, north to Redlands Mesa, shall be changed to 35 miles per hour in both directions, as shown on Exhibit A. The segment in between would remain at 45 miles per hour, as shown on Exhibit A. We have discussed this with Sheriff Taylor, and do you have any comments, Sheriff Taylor?
Morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
What the commissioners realize and know, I think both of us have received several phone calls from concerned citizens along 3100 Road about speeds, accidents, bad passing up in that area. And it was determined that we needed to try to do something about that. The sheriff's office has had directed patrols in that area for quite a while and seemed to help have visibility of patrol deputies running traffic. I did some research on stats, and since January of 24, we've had I think it was less than 20 actual citations wrote on that stretch of 3100. And then we've assisted state patrol with less than 10 traffic accidents on that road. So there is a need for, I believe, the speed limit signs to be lowered and more visibility of speed limit signs. So I agree with the assessment that was presented.
Tim, anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Questions on this, gentlemen?
Well, I like the fact that it's, about 3 miles of 40, then we jumped to almost 2 miles back to 45, and then we get above North Road, and then we're ratcheting back down for 3/4 of a mile, and then we're into Forest Service after that, right?
Correct.
So I think this is doable. I think people are gonna be able to, the too many adjustments in there. I think we talked last time was just gonna be too much for the poor driver to try to process while he's trying to keep track of his, what gear he's in and all that kind of stuff. So I think this solves that. Gives you what you need in the section in question. And then the straight parts where it's maybe a little faster. And then drop back to 35 after that. So I think this is a good fix.
Commissioner Lane?
No questions, it's just, there again, the more traffic in that area, more people using the road and, getting to where they're going in a timely manner and need to do it in a safe manner also. And what resolution number was this?
While we're looking this up, I want to say thank you, Sheriff, for your department and all the energy you guys have put into this. And also for engineering, for all the work they put into this.
The one thing I might suggest is we all know visibility and notification to the public that speed limits are going to change. We've seen that out on G50 road and G road. So, I would suggest maybe electronic sign that speed limits are changing, or public notification from Lindsay on our website, Facebook.
I was gonna ask Ms. Mitchell to put out a note on this one. And is there any way to include that map?
Yeah, Tim and I have agreed to work on a press release and some stuff out.
Okay.
We will get together and get that out, and we'll send it out for approval before we.
If the board approves this today, what's the time frame on implementing?
It doesn't take long to install signs. I would say within a week.
Can we pick a date so Lindsay knows what to put on a press release here?
Sure.
Well, let's take care of this business first. Any other questions on this resolution? It would be number 06.
I'll make a motion that we pass resolution 2025 R 06 for the changing of the speed limit changes on portions of 3100 road as presented.
I second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. If today is the 3rd, can we implement the morning of February 17th?
Yes.
Thank you guys again for all your hard work on this. Appreciate it.
Can you make sure you share that with Chris Stewart so he can put it on? Okay.
I was just reminding folks that this part of the resolution, however that makes sense on the big spot, and to work with you to make sure that it gets reported together.
Say what?
Exhibit in the.
Yes, it does.
Craig, why don't you go ahead and initial in the box there?
And I can send you a PDF of the exhibit, Terry.
Tim, anything else for it?
I have the ratification of HUTF signature sheet on the agenda.
Are you not reading ahead or should we jump ahead?
It's up to you.
Let's jump ahead since Tim's sitting in front of us. We're going to number 9, highway user tax. Go ahead, Tim.
So, every year we inspect one of the road and bridge district's roads. In 2024, the engineering team inspected, District 2, which is Commissioner Fuller's. We found that the road conditions are fairly good for the most part. And so we report this to the Department of Transportation, and that signature sheet is required. It shows the number of miles for each type of road, and which streets and how many miles are eligible for the HUTF fund. So you commissioners signed this last week, and so what we need to do is ratify the signatures.
Questions on this?
A lot of detail to be accounted for and reported to the state. Thanks for that.
Go ahead.
I move that we ratify the commissioner signatures for certification submittal of highway user tax road miles and surface.
I will second the motion.
Any other? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Tim.
Terry, do you want the original?
If you could scan it to me, that would work.
Will do. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Back to agenda item 6. This is the board's consideration letter of support potential funding for from the Delta County Historical Society, Chris Miller. If you'd like to come forward. Hey, Lindsay, is that mic on?
Good morning.
We'll pass out some copies of the information.
We need.
For you.
Good.
Welcome.
We need to keep this a little brief today. We need to keep this brief today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think you got all the information in it. For you.
Orville, how are you?
Great.
Good to see you. Why don't you go ahead and get on to Terry?
Now I'm to the clerk. I have it already. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Chris Miller. I'm on the board of directors for the Delta County Historical Society, and we represent the Delta County Museum. Orville Proctor is on the board with us, and Dr. Tom Gore is here this morning as well, and he's on the board. I think you've received all this information ahead of time, but we're excited to move forward on an expansion project at the museum. I think you've been aware of it since last January when there was a nice article in the newspaper. When we were here earlier and requested funding for the museum to help operate it, you were kind enough to provide us some funding and then said to come back if we had a project that we need assistance on. So that's what we're doing. We are moving forward with the expansion of the museum to house 2 adopted engines from the power plant. And we reached out to the architect, and so we provided you with the cost to do that. And so that we're hoping that we get some support from the county for that project.
Commissioners, are there questions for Ms. Miller on this? It's quite an ambitious
Was
project.
somebody involved in, going to help move the engines? Was there?
Well, I talked to Adam again the other day, when we started talking about it. We kind of agreed that, they would help, bring the engines down and kind of help us set up the, for the foundation and stuff for the engines to set on. And then help set them all back together. And then we would build over the top of them.
Okay.
So, he was gonna check, but that was basically what we talked about and kind of agreed on, that they would help us.
And that was one of the questions that we asked about, what's the cost gonna be to move them from there to put them back together? And if there's no cost, that's fine, but if there is cost, as a grant writer, I would consider that when I'm looking for funding.
And you present this proposal to the city of Delta, this plan also?
Yes, we
Yes,
took it to Dura.
back January, last January.
Okay.
So they're on board and Elise has been notified. She's been copied on all these emails, so she's aware of our interest in moving forward and, getting this project done. But as you all know, that museum's 35 years old and there's never been any consideration for an expansion project or adding any displays like this. So I think it's an opportunity to rebrand the museum and create some new interest and get people coming back to it.
Commissioner Fuller?
So this company that you're looking at using for this Springboard Studio for the drawings and so forth, have you gotten other bids for this kind of work, or have you used these people before, or?
They're the ones that did the police department.
So you're familiar with them?
Yeah, they understand historic buildings and the preservation process.
So what other funding sources have you secured?
Pardon, I'm sorry.
What other funding sources have you secured for this?
We're gonna be working on grants, but right now, what we're wanting, and then this is such a big project that we're looking at a capital campaign. So that we can get the public involved, so that they're aware of what we're trying to do, so that there's some ownership from the community. Rather than just go find funding and get it done. We want to get the public involved in this process.
What is the city of Delta and Durham invested in this?
Not yet, anything, no, not yet. They continue to support the museum on insurance, utilities. They haven't asked them yet.
What kind of demolition to the building that they're in have to take place? Tear down the ceiling and the walls?
This way, my ideas as far as doing it on the outside wouldn't affect anything on the inside. It'd just be adding on the outside. The only time it would affect the inside is when we move the doors out. But all this can be done without touching anything else in something.
And then we're looking at the backside, expansion of the backside too. There's an opportunity because it's all beamed, ready to go. All we gotta do is enclose it. So it's an opportunity to add value to an existing resource without relocating somewhere else to find for engines.
My idea is, we reconstruct the back entrance so we could use that while we're doing construction, or we can use it to have people where they can enter from the back and
So there
redo
wouldn't
that.
be any,
But another idea we've had is possibly including like the welcome center bins that 301 Main's doesn't exist anymore.
actually, we've officially submitted a request to CDOT. We're gonna meet their requirements for hours of operation, and they're gonna install a Brown Museum sign on Highway 50 and a visitor information sign on Highway 50.
So Commissioner Lane, what would you like to do here since you're out of the district?
Yeah, well, we'll support, kind of give us some figures that we can go by. And, it's an ambitious project. There'll probably be some hidden costs in there, but yeah, Delta County will support it. I just don't know how much. And you have to put a request in writing and then we'll consider it. But,
Okay, we'll check with the city too as well and see what,
It'd be my recommendation, Commissioner, that we agree to a letter of support and up to $4,000 in potential final support. And we'll put seed money. It's 25% of the total.
And we'll see how much you can come up with. Also, but, yeah, we'll sure write the letter of support and, back you to a certain degree for sure. So, thank you for the presentation.
work in progress.
Well, this is an action item here.
Well, I'll move that the Delta County support the museum's request as far as moving the engines and setting the engines, and right now we'll commit up to $4,000 to this. And hopefully that'll be enough on it,
And a letter of support.
and a letter of support.
The only thing that I would add to that is I'm not gonna be able to go to your museum, unfortunately, because my wife won't let me go in museums because I never come out, so.
You need to come visit it one time.
I'm a big fan of museums, so
Yes, we have a very nice museum.
I will second Mr. Lane's motion.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so done. Could you provide a draft letter of support to Commissioner Lane so we can get it right?
Okay.
I'll try and get something to you today, if not tomorrow.
Very good. Thank you for the
Appreciate
presentation.
it.
I wish you luck here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, have a great day.
You too.
Agenda item 7 is the Glenwood Canyon CDOT support letter. Terry, what do you know about this one?
I know
Okay.
nothing. I do have the letter though, so.
I've read it.
Excuse me. CDOT requested a letter of support as a, see gentlemen, as a pursue funding for the I-70 through Glenwood Canyon. This does not commit Delta County to any financial burden here, but it does affect us all, that we're all traveling I-70 back and forth, so it'd be my recommendation we do this for CDOT.
Well, and we need a reliable east-west corridor. You'd either have to go far north or far south when Glenwood Canyon has been closed due to accidents, mudslides or storms or accident. And this hopefully will as far as a letter of support, encourage the highway department to make improvements, more rock slide protection, more mitigation as far as a fire comes, that happens, because this is the main east-west travel point that people have. And when it's shut down, it sure puts strain on the people driving, plus the other routes far north and then the other one far south.
Would you like to make the motion, Mike?
Okay. Well, I move that we approve and sign the letter of support for improving Glenwood Canyon through Colorado Department of Transportation as they pursue federal funding for I-70 through the Glenwood Canyon Resilient, Efficient, and Safe Corridor Upgrades and Enhancements Project.
I will second that motion.
Anything else, gentlemen? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so done. I think Terry's got a few.
Okay.
And as we sign this, that brings us to our last official board action, which would be number 8. Consideration of Director Davis and Jackie Felix, the board of directors, to represent Delta County on the Southwest Colorado Opioid Regional Council. Is that on you?
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. And Undersheriff Archibald is here as well. Hopefully you had the opportunity to read the memo that we drafted. I think you probably did. I'm seeing head nods, so I don't want to belabor that, but this has really been a Quinn and I have served on this for just over 3 years, October of 2021. I do think we've got it kind of off the ground, and I think there's a certain sense with it, even within the council, that kind of at a place now where maybe finally established, because it's hard to develop this, and there's been some setbacks. It's been hard to develop this when you're creating something from scratch and that sort of thing. But right now we've engaged with, the council's engaged with United Way out of Mesa County to kind of manage the grants or to help sort the grants. And just recently hired 2 part-time coordinators, Janet Rowland, who I'm sure you guys are familiar with, former Mesa County Commissioner, as well as Cole Cooper, I think is his name, I think. Both of them to kind of work in that sort of thing. Quinn and I have been talking about this a little bit, and we had a chance to discuss it amongst ourselves, that this may be a good opportunity to kind of turn this over to county personnel that are really kind of working in the field directly with some of the service providers that exist, because that's going to be really where this needs to go, kind of the next step. We did have a chance to meet both with Jackie Davis as well as Jackie Felix, and they both showed interest and are willing to be appointed. So that would be my recommendation. The only other thing I would throw out there is I am the contact for the state on this. That's very rare that I have to do something, but occasionally I get emails, updates, and sometimes if there's a new settlement, in other words, if there's a new pharmaceutical company or distributor that settles with the big national settlement, on the sake of Delta County, sometimes I have to go in and click some buttons and that sort of thing. I'm perfectly fine staying as that, but the recommendation would be that Jackie are appointed as the board of director members to represent Delta County on the board. So, Quinn, anything else?
I don't think I have anything else. John's gracious enough to use the term "we," but he was a much larger piece of this than I was throughout this past few years. So we give credit where credit is due.
I appreciate you guys' work on this. It's taken this a long way. And hopefully this provides benefit to those who need it here in Delta County.
We
I
think
know we
that
need it.
we think that by you guys appointing Jackie and Jackie, it will probably help further support our community. We still go unsupported through this project, I feel, and so hopefully that'll change.
And do both Jackies know that this is happening?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
We met with them last week.
Okay.
They have volunteered.
Yes, they did.
Volunteered.
Love it.
Any other questions for Under Sheriff Archibald?
I have none.
Nope, thank you.
I will move that the board consider the appointment of Jackie Davis and Jackie Felix to the Board of Directors to represent Delta County on the Southwestern Colorado Opioid Regional Council.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye,
Aye, so done.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you.
thank you.
Of course. When's the next board meeting and when will we get an update back from
Did
them?
they set one?
I don't believe one has been set yet. It's kind of month to month when they get set.
There was a meeting in January that I was not able to make, and they couldn't make that one, and so, probably, I would think that in probably that first week in March, second week in March.
Well, again, thanks for you guys' service on that.
And I'll communicate with, the board and let them know at this point.
Let us know what else we need to do to support those two. Same.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
That brings us to the BOCC schedule and Ms. Mitchell. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good day.
So today, after this meeting, February 4th, 6 to 8 p.m., you have a Republican Party meeting at Surface Creek Church. Thursday, February 6th, 8:30 to 10 a.m., agency call on Zoom. Thursday, February 11th, 7:30 to 8:30 a.m., we have coffee with Commish. That is at Fuel Coffee with Mike, and Craig is also gonna join us. February 13th, 8:30 to 10, AGNC legislative call is on Zoom. Thursday, February 18th, 8:30 to 12, that's our next Board of County Commissioners regular scheduled meeting here at 560 Dodge Street. Tuesday, February 18th, 1:30 to 3:30 is a work session for Road and Bridge here at 560 Dodge. Tuesday, February 18th, 3:30 to 5 is a Board of Health meeting, also here at 560 Dodge. Wednesday, February 19th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., AGNC Rifle Board and ED meeting, Garfield Human Services Building. Thursday, February 20th, 8:30 to 10 a.m. is an AGNC call. Thursday, February 25th, 1 to 3 p.m. is a work session for Emergency Management and 911 Authority here at 560 Dodge Street. Thursday, February 27th, 8:30 to 10 is an AGNC legislative call. Thursday, February 27th, 10 a.m. to 12, Brian McCurdy, Power Garnet Mesa Solar Project Tour. And Thursday, February 27th, 2 to 3 p.m. is a Tri-County meeting, and that location is to be determined.
Questions or additions for Lindsay on this schedule? I had a few things. to add.
No, I don't.
Today at 11:30, we are recognizing Mr. Levi Broyles as he retires from the Paonia Ranger District. That can be on our schedule.
That's on the agenda.
Okay.
Is he coming?
Last I heard, yes.
Okay.
What was it? On the 18th, at our BOCC meeting, John Cohee, CEO of Delta Health, will be here to join us, as will Hillary Henry from Senator Bennett's office to give us some updates. Let's see. I think that's all I had.
Do we want that like at a specific time, like 9 a.m.?
Let's do 9 a.m. for both, 9 and 9:15. Terry, anything else for our schedule?
What's Lindsay PTO mean?
She's gonna work on a tractor.
Oh, it's canceled? Oh, okay.
Yes.
He's working on a tractor.
It's a rare thing.
John, do you have anything for us?
I don't believe I do at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good.
Want to do the jail report?
We have no jail report for this
Okay.
morning. We'll pick it up next week. Our next topic would be planning at 10 a.m., so we'll stand during the recess till 10. Thank you, everybody.
Your mic is on.
Well, good morning, everybody. We'll resume the regular meeting for the Belton County Board of County Commissioners for February 4th, 2025. It is 9:59, almost 10. We're going to start with planning. The only thing on our agenda this morning is project 24-080 Hawk, requesting a vacation for a portion of the Hawk Minor family subdivision. At this point, I'll turn it over to Mr. Gardner.
Thank you. As said, project 2480 is a request to vacate lot 3 of the Hawk Family Minor Subdivision. The applicants are Gerald and Christine Hawk at 43440 Cottonwood Creek, Crawford. The applicants are requesting to vacate lot 3 of the Hawk Family Minor Subdivision. The application was first presented to the commissioners on January 7th. Due to new information presented at that public hearing, the board motion to table the application until they could fully review all information brought forward. I'm going to provide a brief recap of what we brought forward at that first hearing, and then address some of the issues that were brought forward. On December 16th, the applicants, the Hawks, submitted a letter of intent and a petition to for vacation of subdivision. According to the letter of intent, the reason for the request was to vacate lot 3 of the Hawk Family Minor Subdivision, as the Hawks believed the lot was included in the Hawk Family Minor Subdivision erroneously when it was recorded back in 1998. The Hawks state that they were originally deeded 40 acres in 1987, making the parcel its own entity. Then in 1998, the Hawk sisters created the Hawk Family Subdivision, which included lot 3. State that due to the error of including the 35+ acre parcel, the property was lumped into the subdivision, removing it from being an independent parcel. The petition has as its stated purpose, the petition that was submitted with the application, that Gerald and Christy Hawk are petitioning to be removed from the subdivision. The Hawks have signed the petition, however, the landowner 43052 Cottonwood Creek Road, which is lot 1 of the subdivision, did not sign the petition. In summary, the Hawk Family Minor Subdivision was created in 1998. The final plat was recorded on January 27th of 98 and included road dedication for Cottonwood Creek Road in the amount of 7.89 acres. It was created as a 3-lot subdivision of 174.77 acres in total. Although lots 2 and 3 were over 35 acres, lot 1 was only 11.57 acres. So lot 3 has been replatted multiple times in the last 20+ years, changing the legal descriptions of the lots within the subdivision. Along with the many replats, there have been numerous plat notes that restrict the lots within the subdivision from certain development. Staff believes that the application should be denied based on the history of the subdivision and the principle of protecting the property rights of the other lot owners in the subdivision. Like I said, at the last hearing on January 7th, new information was presented to the board, and the board motion to table the application until they can fully review all the information brought forward. So on January 14th, there was an executive session held to review that information. One of the chief matters discussed was the re-subdivision of lot 2. Well, I am clarifying one of the pieces of information that was brought forward in the first hearing.
Correct, that's fine.
And clarifying that it was discussed that the recent subdivision of lot 2 of the Hawk Family Subdivision into Fernfield Subdivision. It was suggested in the January 7th hearing that this was a vacation of the Hawk family subdivision. However, this is not accurate. The Fernfield subdivision was a re-subdivision of lot 2 of the Hawk family subdivision. It was re-subdivided, not vacated as claimed. Plat notes are carried through from the Hawk family subdivision into the Fernfields subdivision, which continues the restrictions in detail of principle. And staff has records verifying that the Hawks and other neighbors were notified and given the opportunity to comment or object to the Fernfield subdivision. That's the supplemental information we just provided to you before this meeting. It contains a map and a mailing list of affected property owners. Also notes from a December 22nd, 2009 advisory planning committee meeting. And the Hawks and the Shelleys, who are the owners of lots 1 and 3 of the Hawk Minor subdivision, were on that list for mail notifications. That summarizes the main points, I think. If you have any further questions, we'd be happy to address them.
Gentlemen, any further questions of staff or others here?
No.
As we stated before, we do not like having to sit in these seats to make these kind of decisions today because it affects both our friends and our community. But here we are, and we've had a lot of information provided to us. I want to thank Mr. Gardner and his staff who gave us some good definitions on what difference between a replat and a re-subdivision and a vacation actually means in terms of land use codes. And the additional information from 1990, whatever it was. So hearing that, is there anything else from the applicants or others that we could add to the record to help us this morning? And sir, please make sure that microphone's on and identify yourself for the record.
I get turned it on. So, just by way of reintroduction to you guys, I'm Ben Wagner and I represent Mr. and Mrs. Hawk in this case. So just to sort of be clear today, is we're simply talking about removing lot 3 from the subdivision. All the other issues that seem to be the hot button topics regarding this matter aren't really right for review. And really what we're here about today is whether or not lot 3 should be vacated from the subdivision. And that's simply all we're asking at this point in time for the commissioners to do, is to grant the petition to allow Mr. and Mrs. Hawk to remove that lot from the subdivision. As you know, from the land use planning codes and probably all the information review and what we talked about last time, is that they meet the requirements under Delta County land use codes to do this. They have the requisite number of lots, their own lot, and whether or not the Shelleys object to it, they can still proceed with that petition. And that's what they're simply asking you to do today, is to do that. And the only evidence really in the record that we should really talk about is when the subdivision was originally created. It's pretty clear from Mr. Geddes, the original surveyor that did all the work and did the first and third plats, that it was an error to include this. Obviously, the lot 3 was much larger, could have sat on its own, didn't require a subdivision. And this was a family thing that happened. It's unfortunate that it happened, and it should never been included in the first place, but unfortunately it was. And now the Hawks are here just asking that be rectified and that to be moved out. And for whatever the plans they may have in the future for this, that's sort of a discussion for another day. But right now, we're just asking that the commissioners, you guys, just grant the petition and let them remove, and all this other stuff can be figured out later. And I know we might have an opportunity to respond to anything that comes up in the future, or that might be said, but I did want to point out, I did provide a letter to Mr. Bear, and I also did see Mr. Callahan, who represents some of the affected neighboring property owners. talking about some title work and things like that. That really doesn't have any relevance or bearing on today. But in any event, you know, title exceptions and a title policy doesn't have any effect whether or not something is effective or anything else. But I would ask you guys to set all that aside and just take it for what it's worth today is we're just here to ask that the lot 3 be vacated from the subdivision.
You're correct, Mr. Wagner. That is a decision before the board today.
Yep, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Mr. Hawk, anything?
No, I've been said all.
Thank you. Thank you.
You want the one to go down?
Yeah, do we have, has anybody signed up to speak this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ryan Callahan with Connerly and Callahan in Montrose, and I represent Dean Crystal and the Crystal Family Trust. I'll keep my public comment short today just because I think a lot has been put on the record. And I really do appreciate staff's efforts in this regard. And actually, Mr. Gardner's recap of information was added information I wasn't even aware of. I think central to the Fernfield subdivision, all I was trying to do in my letter of explanation was show the central thesis that we're putting forth, which is that property just doesn't lose encumbrances or restrictions against it unilaterally or without the consent of other landowners who have benefited by that and those that are burdened by it. And I think that's shown by the title work and title examiners saying to themselves, just because something was re-subdivided or replatted doesn't mean we shed the encumbrances of the prior plat work, and that was shown in the lot that I examined. And so that same idea follows through to the vacation plat. I think there's fundamental flaws in the vacation plat that haven't been discussed. I see that the Hawks are identified as being the owners of not only lot 1 and lot 3 of the subdivision, when in reality, the Shelleys are the owners of lot 1. And their name is even included in the vacation plat, as though they were intended to sign it when it was drafted. But they don't have the Shelleys' consent, and with that lacking, I don't think the project can go forward. I don't know how the Hawks intend to dedicate land they don't own to support a unilateral vacate from the subdivision. So I'd ask that the vacation plat in particular, which is the focus of today, I ask that be examined for the inaccuracies of that. And then conveniently, the Hawks are asking to be basically created as an island of their own, copy and pasted from, or cut and pasted from the Hawk Minor subdivision, free of all of the plat notes that followed over the course of various replats. And I think that's an error too. If the vacation plat were even to be approved or considered by the board, I think those plat notes need to carry through, much like they did in the Fernfield subdivision. And in the case of Fernfields, the restrictions were actually far greater than they were when those lots were a component of the Hawk Family Minor subdivision. There's no commercial activity permitted within Fernfields. So it's a misnomer to suggest that somehow those parcels were able to unilaterally free themselves of the encumbrances simply by means of re-subdividing. So I'd ask that the board take seriously and look into the vacation plat as having those two errors. Central to the vacation idea, I've seen no evidence, and I've reviewed all of the staff packets that have been really well prepared. I've seen no evidence that there was an erroneous inclusion of lot 3 of the Hawk Family Minor subdivision. I think it's quite clear that they regret the implications of having done that over the years and the various replats. But those were purposeful inclusions in which the Hawks were able to benefit, restructure their land, make dedications, boundary adjust, grow in size. And so the word erroneous, as though, and I believe your county surveyor brought this up, this isn't a typographical problem. This isn't an error in legal description. These were purposeful inclusions, and now they're bound by those restrictions. And absent the approval of the additional lot owner in that subdivision, I just don't see a legal way in which the Hawks should be able to shed themselves of the plat restriction. And so I thank you for your time.
Thank you. I have Ms. Heydrich as next on the list to visit with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. As difficult as it is.
Please identify yourself.
Sorry, Liz Heydrich, Needle Rock Mountain Realty. As difficult as it is for me to talk today, I want to start with an apology to some of the people in the room because I used a phrase and said that I felt that the Hawks might be, I don't even be honest with you, you get so nervous when we're speaking in front of a board in a highly charged room like this, emotionally filled with past clients and friends, that it is difficult for me to even be clear on what I am saying. So I made a comment about a mob mentality, and I just want to apologize to the room for that. I've just been on both sides of this situation with people for 20 years of my career. And I believe that these are all good people in this room, and that their opinions and their concerns are valid. That being said, I've studied over all the plats from the very beginning to the past, to the current one, from the past to the current. And I've spent some time with Mr. Geddes trying to understand how the mistake might have happened. And between the one from 1987, which is the original survey plat where the Hawks have their original parcel, to the next one that was done in 1998, if you draw your attention to the second one, and then you compare it to the first one, you can see that there is a change in shape of the Hawks parcel. And that was related to just basically creating a better situation for lot number one, spatially speaking, as far as their land goes. And then it would change even further again in the next one, changing the shape of the parcel yet again. And had that change not been necessary, they would not have been brought into the survey plat at all. It should have been a boundary adjustment. It wasn't. And so I think you've probably studied those as well and are familiar with the shapes of the parcels and can see how this very human error occurred on everybody's behalf. I also would like to point out that while I do understand that lot number 2 was replatted, and that the lot notes carried forward, I don't believe, in my opinion, I do see the additional restrictions there, but we have to remember that lot number 2, which was significantly larger at one point in time, was only just going to be a single family residence. So now it's 2 lots that can have homes. So I don't think that it's too much of a stretch to say that there was some benefit to lot number 2 becoming Fern Fields. And I will just close with that. And I am also going to state for the record that I truly believe that if the county would implement some sort of process along, this is controversial. I thought about it and talked about it the whole way up here. Some sort of process where before people began construction on things, there was, I'll say the dirty word, a permit, that we wouldn't be here. And thank you so much for your kindness and consideration.
And Liz, thank you for your being here. I know it's tough at times, but you can do this. And thank you for the apology.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else today that didn't get a chance to sign up, I'd like to visit with us. Seeing none, Mr. Bear, do you have anything?
I have nothing else. I don't know if there's anybody online.
Anybody online? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Nothing else.
Mr. Gardner, anything else to add here?
Nothing else to add.
Okay. Commissioners, what is your thoughts here? What would be the will of the board?
Well, I've given this a considerable amount of thought the last month. I'm kind of new to this area as well. Just rehashed all these things over and over in my brain as I've been trying to come to grips with what we need to do here. And I think I've fallen on the idea that nobody likes to make decisions that affects other people's lives. I understand that. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable for anybody. Unfortunately, what we have here is a lose-lose situation. I'm afraid that this is going to go to another level after this meeting is over. But having said all that, I think there's some real danger here by setting some precedent. If we do this, that will be established for the future, for other times we have to deal with these kinds of things. There has been, in my opinion, ample opportunity through the years to rectify this situation and to kind of clean it up and move forward. And so having said that, again, with the unpleasantries that are before us, nobody likes to do this. I've said that and I'll say it again, but my interpretation of what needs to happen here is this application for petition needs to be denied. And we need to move on, so.
Is that a motion?
Unless Mike has something he would like to.
No, just like to echo what has been said, tough decision, it affects lives, it affects neighbors for years. Started out in 1998, goes back to 1987. A lot has transpired through that process, through the years. And it's, I don't take this decision lightly because there'll probably be, you know, some friendships that will be lost over this. And which is happens in life, land use decisions are very difficult to make simply because how many people it affects. Thank you for everyone for your decorum, for your respect. I move the project number 24-080, the Hawk request to vacate a portion of the Hawk minor family subdivision be denied.
I will second that motion.
Anything further, gentlemen?
I have nothing.
All those in favor of denial of the vacate of the Hawk Minor subdivision, say aye.
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 So done. That concludes this morning's work. I thank everybody again for being here. Look forward to seeing you under different circumstances.